Live from the Northlands News Center, this is the KBJR 6 and Range 11 News at 5.
First, it was at SMDC. Now it's at St. Luke's. Duluth nurses picketed for the second time this year, this time right outside of St. Luke's Trauma Center. About 500 nurses from both hospitals spent the afternoon rallying for what they're calling patient safety. Both unions are in the middle of contentious contract negotiations with their hospitals. Nurses are asking for contract language that would allow them to determine when to say no to admitting more patients. Hospital officials say their current staffing levels are among the best in the upper Midwest. However, those right at the bedside say if this isn't included in their contract, they may leave not just the hospital, but the profession.
There's something that happens when nurses are burned out. They don't want to stay in this profession, and I'm one of those. I don't want to stay here if this is the way it's going to look like for the next 30 years of my career. I won't stay here.
Nurses and the hospitals will continue talks later this month. A contract vote is expected August 18th. Turning now to a first look at our weather forecast.
Live from the WDIO broadcast studios, this is Eyewitness News at 6 on WDIO WIRT.
Duluth nurses went back to picketing today, this time in front of St. Luke's Hospital, but with the same message as before. They say both Duluth hospitals are not properly staffed. 1,300 registered nurses are negotiating a contract with the hospital, and they want the same rights given to Twin Cities nurses last month. Those nurses have control over the patient-to-nurse ratio and even have the power to close a unit to new patients if necessary.
If we don't have enough nurses to care for our patients, you've got somebody down at one end of the hall who needs you in there because they're having trouble breathing, and you've got somebody else down at the other end of the hall who has a low blood pressure, and you can't be in both rooms at the same time.
Both hospitals provided these statements in response to today's picket. Staffing at St. Luke's meets or exceeds staffing ratios for the upper Midwest. Our team-centered approach allows us to monitor all staffing needs every hour of every day and have the flexibility to respond. And at St. Mary's, quote, our feeling is that the responsibility of staffing belongs to the hospital manager, but we do hope to work with our nurses to help them continue to practice the quality care SMDC has always provided. Now, today's picket is strictly informational and is not a formal strike. However, if an agreement is not reached by August 18th, the nurses union says they will have no other choice but to hold a one-day strike. A hot and sticky day here in the Northland. Justin Lyles.
1, 2, 3, 4. We don't like your grid no more.
Nurses and supporters march outside St. Luke's Hospital pushing for more help with patient care.
Studies say that you spend 6.4 minutes with your patient an hour. And how can you give really great care with that amount of time? You can't.
Overall, it's bad for the patient. You know, we can't even sometimes get in and get somebody a glass of water when they want it, which kind of makes for a really long shift, and it makes me feel like I'm not doing the job I prepared for.
St. Luke's says their staffing meets or exceeds staffing ratios for the upper Midwest. Our team-centered approach allows us to monitor all staffing needs every hour of every day and have the flexibility to respond.
But according to nurses, that's just not the case, and that's why they're taking up these signs.
And there are far more times where I'm stuck in the middle of the shift and I don't have an option and my options are exhausted. I have no one else to send to until the next shift.
Hospital representatives say they'll continue to bargain in good faith and hope to agree on a contract with the negotiating table with local leaders, not one driven by a national union agenda.
We're getting sicker and sicker patients every day, and they're needing more and more things, which that's fine. That's what we're here to do. But when we can't provide those basic needs, that's when we need more staff on the floor.
If it comes down to funding, nurses believe cutting work hours will solve the problem, allowing for more time and patience with each patient.
It matters how many patients each nurse has. It really does.
In Duluth with photojournalist Kyle Hansen, I'm Jacob Kittlestad, Fox 21 News.
Union nurses stage an informational picket in their quest for a new contract, and it was a perfect night to be neighborly at one of dozens of Northland block parties. Your news starts now.
Live from the Northlands News Center, this is the KBJR 6 and Range 11 News at 10.
Just 15 days before a contract vote, nurses at St. Luke's and SMDC hold another informational picket. Union leaders and hospital officials have been negotiating for months now, but can't find common ground when it comes to staffing levels. Bua Zhang has been following this story for us. She joins us now. And Bua, what are nurses looking for?
Well, nurses are asking for something called a temporary unit closure in their contract, and having this language in there would allow the nurses to determine when enough patients is enough. And so far, SMDC and St. Luke's are saying no. About 500 nurses from both hospitals spent the afternoon rallying in front of St. Luke's. Union leaders say Duluth nurses are being asked to handle more patients than is safe for both parties. However, hospital officials say their current staffing levels are among the best in the upper Midwest. Those right at the bedside, though, said they are being overworked and even being asked to work on their days off.
If this region wants to retain the good nurses that they have and continue to bring them in, they really need to change the way that they treat this profession. We're treated very poorly for professionals.
Talks will continue for a few more weeks, and a contract vote is scheduled for August 18th, but not much may change.
It doesn't look very good. It doesn't look very promising. And this is probably the best support we've had from our nurses, and that just tells you how unhappy and how tired and how short-staffed they really are.
On August 18th, nurses will vote to either ratify the contract or authorize a one-day strike. Hospital officials we spoke with earlier said they hope to find some common ground with the union soon.
And if they can't find that common ground, are the hospitals prepared for a strike?
Well, Michelle, that is a very good question. And at this time, hospitals and the union are just saying that they hope that it does not get to that point.
All right. Thank you very much. Boojang reporting on today's picket by local nurses. A deal between Chilean and Canadian mining companies could...
Live from the WDIO broadcast studios, this is Eyewitness News at 10 on WDIO WIRT.
Duluth nurses back out picketing today with the same message about staffing levels at the city's two hospitals. Outside St. Luke's Hospital, the nurses and their supporters held signs and told anyone who would listen that there aren't enough nurses for all the patients at the hospitals. The nurses union wants that issue resolved in their current contract talks. St. Luke's told Eyewitness News today that their staffing levels exceed standards in the upper Midwest. St. Mary's said the hospital manager makes staffing decisions, and they hope to work with nurses to continue quality care. Now, today's picket was informational. The nurses are not on strike. Senators Al Franken and Amy Klobuchar have made another push for the release of 3 American hikers detained in Iran.